All right, good afternoon. Good afternoon. How is everybody today?
It's
Doing
great.
great, guys. Doing great.
Friday,
Yeah.
Friday, May 17th, right? It's already, we're getting halfway through the month of May.
Yeah. Friday can't be all bad, right? So feeling good here. But yeah, it's
Yep.
going great. And it's
Awesome.
halfway through the month. Summer's full swing, it feels like here, which means we'll probably get one more snow in Colorado.
Right.
But it definitely feels like summer's fully here. And yeah, I didn't mention it earlier in the week, but yeah, this past Saturday was the first second Saturday event in Arvada. So it's a ton of fun. They like kind of like shut down all the downtown roads and they have a couple different music stages and it's like vendors and food and drinks and all sorts of cool stuff. So we'll be out there again on June 8th. Yeah, so that's coming up. If you guys are in the area, come check it out. It's a ton of fun. My gym, 303 Jiu-Jitsu will be out there kind of hosting some events too. They have like games for the kids and stuff like that. So yeah, so that'll be fun. I'll keep you guys posted, but just happened to think about it. It was a great little weekend to be out there hanging out. So it was fun.
Nice. Nice. Very cool. So today we have Kelly Beth with us. Kelly is we're really excited. So this has been a little bit of a long time coming. So Kelly's been with us for a while. He was transitioning out of a career and a W-2 role. However, in the last 12 months or so, he's been plugging in where he can and kind of learn the business, learn the vocabulary, doing some open houses. And then after his W-2 job ended, that very next Monday, his first closing right out of the gate, which was amazing. So Kelly, welcome, welcome. We're happy to have you.
Thank you very much.
So just why don't you let you kick it off? Tell us a little bit about you, where you're from, your family, things that you're into, maybe some vision and some goals as you've made this career transition.
Okay, sounds good. Well, yeah, again, my name's Kelly Beth. I'm a Colorado native. I've lived here my whole life, other than a few years away in a stint in the military in the Navy. Other than that, whole time here, most of it. I grew up in a small town in the San Luis Valley, and after I got out of the military, I came back and moved up here in the Denver metro area, and I've been here for about 25 years now, something like that. Let's see, you mentioned career. So yeah, I had a W-2 career. I started out in IT work. I did IT consulting where I was off on the road Monday through Friday every week, traveling all over the place to different projects. Got a little tired of that as we started having kids, and I left that briefly and got into real estate in 97, actually. That's when I first got my first broker's license and got into it then. Unfortunately fortunately or unfortunately, it worked out. Everything works out well in the end, I think. I ended up going back to my W-2 job to keep a steady income and some insurance on there when we started having kids. So again, I was an IT consultant for a few more years after that. Then I moved into IT auditing. And then for about the last 12 years, I've been a fleet manager at an oil and gas company, or I was a fleet manager.
Very cool. Very cool.
Excellent. Yeah, so I mean, I guess I'm here, and I mean, obviously you had some career changes, but you had like pretty long commitments to each individual, portion of that career, and I'm still kind of hearing a lot of like organization and communication being very important to all of those faculties, right? So if you're consulting, you need to be able to have like, first of all, being able to have a plan, be able to articulate that plan to your clientele, and need to obviously have a plan for them to follow through on that. And it's obviously very similar on the freight side of things, kind of being able to like manage a lot of different stakeholders, make sure the flow through process is handled correctly. So how do you feel that, these, those skills are translated into real estate, or how do you plan on like using those to make sure that your clients have a great experience or are able to kind of get to the closing table there at the end of the day?
Oh yeah, that's great. Yeah, I definitely think there's a lot of parallels there. A
Mhm.
lot of times in consulting, it's communication's kind of the key of getting your point across. Even if I've found a lot of times we're on completely the same page, but depending on how that message is delivered, you might find yourself kind of diverging. Just need to make sure you're communicating it clearly, and a lot of it's trying to read your audience as much as you can, so you make sure to use the language or the terminology or whatever it is that they need to hear, so that you can get that point across.
No,
And
that
I
makes
think
a lot of
we're
sense.
all, especially me, I'm definitely working on that as much as anybody.
Yeah. The little lingo that we all kind of throw around here in real estate takes a while to pick up, but once you have it, it's pretty easy. Um,
Yes.
yeah, and then I guess a question. I don't know if you've ever addressed this. Kelly and I have spent a long time kind of talking to each other and kind of walking through this process. And, it started off with us, obviously him interviewing here and deciding it was a good fit. And then probably for a good 8-10 months, Kelly and I would meet like at least once a month and for a couple hours and have a beer or two and kind of talk about the industry stuff. And I was always really impressed with your ability to like come with a because I would always come with a idea about how that conversation would go, and then you always came with like your own agenda on how you want to ask and what questions you want to ask, where you saw that thing flowing. And I think that was really great. I was always really impressed with your ability to not just like come and expect information to be poured into your hands, which I think is what a lot of people do in a training scenario. I think that's not a super successful strategy in my opinion. But what made you kind of, when you were thinking about transitioning away from W-2 job, like your kids I know are grown, what made you decide that you kind of wanted to get into real estate instead of like just being done or kind of, maybe riding out a couple more years in your W-2 and padding it that way? What made you want to kind of take this jump at this stage in your career?
I would definitely say it's the flexibility. Through the last few years, my family is some of our older relatives have passed on, and some important advice we got from them. My 102-year-old grandmother-in-law, before she passed away, she said, "Don't work at the office until you can't work before you quit." Basically, she was saying, don't wait till the end when you retire and you can't do anything. So I'm not quite ready to retire yet. I think I have a lot of value I can still add in a career, and I really enjoy real estate. It's just so interesting, and I love meeting all the different people. So I got, another decade or so of good work in me, I think, but it gives me the flexibility to where I can possibly, go visit as you mentioned, my kids are grown now, go spend some time with my kids, go spend time doing the things I want to do rather than going into an office for a set period of time every day. And so just the flexibility, I guess, would be the biggest thing.
That's great. That's great. Well, and yeah, and then so again, so when you're not when you're not in the office, when you're not kind of doing your own thing, what do you like to do outside of real estate, outside of kind of the jobs we talked about? Yeah, where can I find Kelly Beth on a Sunday, Friday afternoon when you don't have anything else going on?
Well, now I'll say currently, because my wife would definitely comment that once I find a hobby, I jump into it, and I've had quite a few of those through the years. But my current things, I'd say, are cycling, either road biking or mountain biking.
Nice.
Just getting back into that after an ankle injury a couple of years ago. But yeah, that was so those are my two main sports. I also like to travel as much as we can, which again is part of that flexibility thing we're looking for. I like to go down to Honduras as often as I can, to island of Roatan. I'm a big scuba diver, so go down there and do some scuba diving as much as I can. So those are the three active things. I also like to do some volunteer work wherever I can. Again, that's where the flexibility in this job really lets you be able to go do that volunteer work other than just the little bit you might be able to squeeze in on a weekend. I have a little more flexibility now to do some volunteer and give back to the community. One of the main ones that I volunteer with now is a group called Denver Adaptive Divers, where we work with people who have disabilities to help them dive, whether that's they're confined to a wheelchair or they're blind or whatever it may be. Or I focus a lot on working with veterans who have some of the more, not an external injury that you can see, but some other type of injuries. Work with them a lot and help get them out doing scuba diving, and just seeing that there's things they can do even with their different abilities.
That's excellent.
That's amazing. That's really cool. I did not know that. Good for you.
Yeah, and my wife, I'm sure, could sympathize with your wife as having a husband who like has a lot of hobbies that throws himself into them. So we share that trait for sure.
And another one I need to add on now, I haven't fly fished in a lot of years. I need to get back into that. So I'm sure my wife will love to hear that's going to.
Oh yeah. But you just gotta tell her, but it's all for work.
Yeah, exactly.
It's all for connection and all for connecting. What's the coolest place you've ever is it dove or dived?
Either one I think will work.
Either one worked? Okay.
I'm not an English major.
Yeah.
I'd say for me it's Roatan. I haven't gone to a lot of areas. I had to stop my diving. I started about 15 years ago. I had to stop it for a while, and since I got back into it, I'd say Roatan's the best for me.
Okay.
It has all around the island is a protected marine park, so they do a lot of, people can't drop anchors. They have a lot of buoys to tie up to, so you don't have people dropping anchors and messing up the reef, and they really take care of the trash and everything. It's really good compared to other places that I've dove in the Caribbean. There are a lot of places I'd like to go that I hear are even better, but for me,
Yeah.
that's the best. That's been the best for me.
Well, you start putting them on your hit list, right? Of places that you guys want to go.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
where are the kids now? So where are they all living?
My kids, both done with college. My oldest went out to Grand Junction, and she left Mesa University, and she got a job as the aquatic supervisor in the city of Fruta.
Mhm.
So she's there. Yeah, she did a little bit of a change. She started school as a music education major. She played the viola, but she went out there and did that, and then she decided, maybe this isn't for me. But she had been working part-time as a lifeguard and just built that into her new full-time career. And my youngest daughter just graduated from CSU in December, and she's actually moving out to Grand Junction to start her doctorate of physical therapy program.
Oh, that's
Holy
amazing. Good for
cow.
her. Yeah.
They're going to
Wow.
live together out there, so that'll be good.
So they're both in Colorado, but they're what, about 5 hour drive out. Not too bad.
Yep, not too bad.
Very, very cool. Very nice. Now you're gonna have some flexibility to be able to spend some time with them as they're the next chapter in their lives as well.
Exactly. Yep, that was the plan.
Nice. And you're over on the west side of town, right? You're actually in Lakewood?
Yeah, I live over in Lakewood, right at the base of Green Mountain, which is great for the mountain bike. I can
Yes.
leave my house and ride right to it.
Such a popular, desirable area right
Yes.
there. And then when you grew up in Colorado, where'd you grow up?
In the San Luis Valley, the town's called Monte Vista.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're down by Alamosa.
Yes, exactly. 17
Okay,
miles.
okay.
Alamosa. Yep.
Yep. I used to have a guy I worked with in a whole nother career that had lived down there. Oh, I can't remember the little town. It was a little town between the two. You'll probably know it if I said it.
Between Alamosa and Monte Vista, I can't think of one.
Super small. Well, anyway, yes, I hadn't been down there a whole lot, but I've been down there just a couple of times
Oh,
since I
great.
moved to Colorado, back in the late 90s. So
Yeah. Yeah,
Well,
it's
very
a
cool.
great place.
So as you're going to this new this new chapter, right? What are some of your visions, as a Colorado native, a husband and a father, right? But you've had the career behind you now, right? And what's kind of maybe your vision of things that you want to accomplish in this next run, this 5 to 10 year run that you referenced earlier?
Oh boy, that's interesting. I think I'd like to build a business working with people a lot like me, maybe people who have their kids out of the house, and maybe they're moving from wherever and their kids are now in Denver, and they need to find a home out here, or similar to me, maybe they need a second home somewhere. Their kids are out of the house, and now they want to have maybe a second home someplace closer to them, or place for the family to meet up and do those type of things. I think that would be an interesting area, as well as, I mentioned before, a lot of senior people in my family have moved on, either physically or, end of life type things. I'd like to work with some seniors who are maybe looking to downsize their house, or, whatever it is they need to move into for their next stage. I think those are some areas I can kind of relate to well, and would really like to work in. And then as far as, goals for the years, I think I want to keep myself busy enough to say, yep, I have a full-ish time job, but not so busy that anybody thinks, my gosh, all that guy does is work. Because I'm at this stage now, I'm old enough. I don't want to work all the time. Don't need to work all the time. I'm old enough to realize they don't give out trophies or badges for how many hours you put in at the office. So
Truth.
don't want to work so much enough to make a living, but still have time to spend time with my kids and their families and have
That's
enjoy
excellent.
myself.
Yeah, I mean, I think that that's kind of one of the things that we are, that we always try to do in our team is make sure we're working as efficiently as possible, and I do think that that's a really wise way of interacting with this job, because it gets pretty common when I'll sit down with someone that's either like new to the industry, but they've been in a few years, and they like start throwing out numbers for goals. And you know me, man, I'm all about very ambitious goals, but let's take a step back and let's find a way we're going to measure to meet those goals. And so, I mean, I don't know how many times you hear, like, I want to double my production next year. It's like, well, like, let's really take a look at what we had to do, right? So like if you had to, if you had to make 5 calls a day, set 2 coffee appointments a week, and you had to, like let's go through what it took to do all that. You had to host 2 open houses a month, then theoretically, unless your, output more than doubles, or you're gonna have to double your input, right? So that means you're gonna have to make 10 calls a day and 4 coffee meetings a week and 4 open houses a month. So now I mean, can you hold 208 open houses? Can you make 5,200 phone calls? Can you make, like I mean, or you know what I mean? I'm doing the math wrong there, but can you do all those numbers to really get to a situation where you like doubled your income? It's like, well, maybe not, right? And I go, I'm oversimplifying things, right? Because you're gonna have, past clients now and word of mouth and this, that, and the other. But at the end of the day, right? Like it's not, I think that, something Michael and I talk about often, and I'm sure you've heard us say it, is like, if we get so much focused on like this arbitrary number that we can't control, like whatever our output for income is going to be, we really lose track of why we got in this business in the first place, right? So like when we talked about why you wanted to do this, you never once said, I'm going to be a millionaire off of real estate one day, right? You said, hey, I like the flexibility. I like to be able to spend time with my family. I like to be able to do my hobbies that I'm overcommitting time to, like, like I do as well, right? So if we're no longer working in service of those motivations and we're no longer working in service of those things, then what are we doing here, dude? Like, it's not, it's not a video game to get the most transactions or the highest dollar figure output, right? Everything we do in here is service to our overall why we got the industry. So I think it's a really wise way to kind of look at that.
Yeah, great. And way back when the three of us first met, when I was looking at a place to put my license, I had really thought that I would just be hanging it someplace, not being able to participate, and just kind of finally, when I got out of the W-2, be starting at zero. But that's one thing I really liked about talking with you guys. I mean, this is pretty much what I told you back then. You told me pretty much the same thing, and it's really proven true over the year, a little over almost a year and a half I've been here now. It's really, neither of you, none of the management's pushing you to say you need to go make 100 calls today or any of that. You set your level of success, and you guys are here to support us doing that. It's worked out really well.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, we appreciate that. We really, I think when you look at the landscape, especially in a market like Denver, there's kind of this environment. If you're not, full time and a 7-day a week, it's almost like, hey, it's great if you want to park your license, but you're not going to get much attention from us, kind of scenario, right? And we just absolutely fundamentally don't agree with that. I mean, we think that people are in different stages, and you just laid it out, right? So we crossed paths, built a relationship. You leaned in where you could, and we leaned in where we could. Andrew, I know you guys have had a lot of those beers and coffees and whatnot. I know there's been some training classes that you've just taken days off, and you've said, hey, I need to invest in me. I need to invest in Kelly over this time frame so that when my job transitions out, I'm already at full ramp, kind of like we're doing on the same note with the new rules coming, right? With the real estate commission and all these things, right? We're just trying to get it ramped up so we're ready to go, and then boom, there you go. And I like how you said that too. And Andrew articulated probably better than I will. But at the end of the day, we're in the people business, and what I heard from you is about service, about serving others, right? And then enjoying the things that you like to do. It was never about, oh, me, right? It was all about somebody else, right? Which is exactly we'll see an attribute or a trait, I guess, with all the realtors that Andrew and I speak to on a daily basis between Colorado and Missouri. That's very rare, Kelly, and that resonated with us, and also wanted to make the investment in Kelly, right? Knowing full well that will turn, and then you'll be able to turn and give, right? So I think that's very wise of you to look at it from that angle.
Oh, great, thank you.
So I guess let's stick with this kind of like thought process for a moment here. So if you could, I'm kind of interested to hear if these would be different. So if you could go back to kind of Kelly of like, 18 months ago ish, and kind of give him some advice on like hey, here, because I'm sure we did our best, but I'm sure there's some things we could have done more smoothly to kind of make this transition easier for you or faster, however you want to slice it. And I'm also interested to hear if you could go back to Kelly in, 1996 when you had your first at bat here in real estate. What would you tell that guy to kind of like, I mean, and maybe you would tell him the same thing that you did, like, hey, go work for a few years, get your nest egg, get your kids in college, and then go off. But I'm interested to hear if that would be different and kind of what advice you would give to your past self. And obviously, hopefully that translates into maybe a newer agent or agent who's thinking about getting into real estate here. Maybe they could pick up some nuggets from that conversation.
That's an interesting question.
Yeah.
I think back as far as the first run at real estate, maybe I think I probably would tell myself to give myself a little longer at it.
Okay.
That was the time. I mean, I'm not ancient, but that was the time before Zillow and
Mhm.
everything was out there. It wasn't as much self-service as it is now.
Mhm.
So I would say maybe give myself a little bit longer run at it, but at the same time, with it not being self-service, it was also, in my mind, harder to find people and
Sure.
harder to get your name out there and do any advertising, promotion, and that type of thing. So I might tell myself to give myself a longer run at it, but at the same time, going back to the W-2 job gave me the flexibility once I quit traveling to be there for all my kids' swim meets, for all my kids' volleyball games, for concerts, for everything the kids were doing. I was able to be there for it. And I know a lot of real estate agents can, but a lot of real estate agents also get into like Michael said, work 7 days a week all the time. And they might be at the kids' concert, but they're on the phone in the lobby while they're there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think, I don't know. I think I might give myself another run at it, a little longer run, see if it could make it work. But overall, I think it worked out all right. And I think this time in the shorter term, I think I'd look back and say, I wish I would have maybe spent a little more time trying to do more stuff in the evenings and weekends than what I was able to do. It's just prioritizing. I think all of us have plenty of time to do all the things
Mhm.
a day. It's just how you prioritize and what you choose to do. And
Yeah.
looking back, I might have chosen to do a little bit more of the real estate stuff that I could have, but I picked up a certification along the way and some other little things. So it's worked out.
No, that's great. And I think you're kind of like coming across to two very important, and people think they're conflicting points, but they're really not, in my opinion, right? Because we can all think of that person that we know maybe when we were kids, or that we know in one of our partners in the industry right now that is that person that's like taking the phone, like step away from the dinner table and take a phone call and this, that, and the other. It's like, well, like you can, and but also you said but at the end of the day, you do also said, hey, you had the time. And obviously your daughters weren't having swim meets in the last year and a half, really, but they were doing stuff. You know what I mean? You still, and you and your wife were still, being together, right? Like, so it wasn't
Right.
like you had all the time in the world. But I think it's about being diligent and like sticking to like never lose track of why you're doing this, right? The same thing as your regular job, right? Like never lose track of why you're here. And if you're here to fund the lifestyle you want to live, and that lifestyle includes hanging out with your kids, hanging out with your family, going scuba diving. For me, it's like I'm getting up and hitting my gym. I'm doing I play D&D with my friends every single week on Tuesday evening, so I don't schedule appointments over it, right? Like Calvin's got his appointments I don't miss. Like I don't pick him up at 6 p.m. I pick him up between like 4:30 and 3:30 every single day. Like, so it's just be diligent about your schedule and don't take your eye off the ball. And I think that like people who end up on either of those extremes, people who like either over leverage their time in the day or under leverage it, are making the mistake of losing sight of why we're here, right? So I think that's why I'm such a stickler for goal setting and for business planning, is because, hey, we need something we can reference back to when it's hard. Like when we're like, I am busy as hell. I have no time. I have nothing else to do. I either, miss this thing or I miss this thing. You need to be able to look back and think, well, hey, if I'm making that decision on which of these two things I'm going to miss, why am I here? Right? What am I doing this for? Cool. Keep that in your sights. And it's been my experience, guys, that I don't, maybe they're out there. I've never had it happen a single time in between buying and selling and renting real estate, 10 years of doing this, where I've said, hey, Michael, you know what? I actually am not available on Saturday at 10 a.m. Can you do Sunday or can you do Saturday at 5? I've never had anyone swear at me or tell me to go pound sand or they're going to go hire someone else. Not a single solitary time.
Yeah.
you know, So it's if we set up barriers and provide options, people are going to select. And also at the end of the day, man, like if you're at home, the kid's in bed, dinner's eaten, your wife's watching a program, is there any real reason why you can't answer those last couple emails you didn't get to during the day real quick at 7 p.m. and then be done?
Right.
Right.
There's time to leverage, is my point. I know what your guys' thoughts are on that. You guys have both been in this long enough to where you can kind of speak to that, but that's always a frustrating thing for me is when people say they're too busy to do anything else or there's not enough time. It's like, well, you're probably just not being diligent with your time and with your goals. Because if you are, there's always plenty. Like I don't know.
Right.
My experience anyway. So
And I would agree. And I learned as a young realtor years ago,
yeah.
you have to put boundaries,
Mhm.
whatever those boundaries are. They could be times of day, they could be days of week, they could be times of year, right? I mean, we know we have seasonality in our business, and then we have, we're really, really slammed and busy, right? Then we have times a year that we're not. So you can shift sometimes those priorities. But Andrew's right. I've seen in the last 16 years, I've seen agents that just will, I mean, they will just drop everything when the kids at soccer and leave them there and go show a house and then come back, right? I mean, they'll be that extreme and they'll have this amazing year. And then you don't hear from them for like 2 years. They burned out. I mean, your body, you can't keep moving at that pace, right? And then all the other things that got us there fall apart. So one of the things that we talk to agents about all the time, and with you as well, is keeping up your marketing, whatever that is, keeping up your networking, whatever that is, keeping up your social activities, whatever that is. Even when you get busy juggling clients, buyers and sellers, and you feel like I'm slammed, and you're going to have those weeks throughout the year where you got so many things coming at you. But if you stop all the other stuff, if you fast forward 90 days, you're going to be sitting around going, I got nothing going on.
Yeah.
Right? Because they're little seasons, and we joke about being under contract, and I know you had your closing. In a normal cycle, a 30 or 45-day cycle, we're communicating, whether it's email, text, face to face, showing, on the phone, whatever, 35 days in a row. And then all of a sudden we go to closing and we like break up.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not gonna see you anymore. Like, I'll call you tomorrow. We kind of have this weird relationship that happens with our buyers and sellers, right? Well, it's the same that way if we're just focusing on what's in front of us today and not keeping all those things in place that made us successful, right? To go on to the next and on to the next so that you can serve in the manner in which you want to serve, right? And so a lot of that goes back to our business planning, which I like this year. We did the short form this year. Andrew delivered that, which I thought was more palatable and easier to kind of wrap your head around than a super long form that we've done in the past. But it keeps us, this was the goal, this was the goal, this was the goal, this was the goal. You stay right in front of it, right? Along with your priorities. Isn't that right, Andrew?
Yeah, 100%, guys. And that is the idea, is that you can always understand why we're here, right? It's like, because we're not like, yeah, we're here having transactions and earning commissions is what keeps us in the industry, right? That's why that's the output that we're going to receive.
Right.
But why we're here is money is just money, man. Like money is a tool that we're going to leverage to live a life that we want to live, right? So money cannot be the goal because it's unfulfilling and it's never ending, right? That's how people end up, doing a ton of production, but end up really unhappy. And they end up, again, Michael's right, either rolling out of the industry or, you never understand why they're here, right? But if you're in real estate to earn money to do A, B, C, and D, then we're here for A, B, C, and D. So if those two conflict, then you should always be choosing A, B, C, and D, because there's no conflict in my mind. That's if I'm here for a reason, and this tertiary effect negatively impacts that reason, then there's no conflict. It's easy choice for me every single time. Like I don't know, like if Calvin's got a doctor's appointment and someone wants to schedule a tour that same time, I say no, I can't do it that time. I can do it this time. And then I refer them, or I ask one of my teammates. That's why we're on a team too. I ask Kelly or Jay or someone to cover it, and then that's why we're all together. But that is just a weird mindset to me. I never understood it. Well, I understand it, but I just think I don't understand why people don't overcome it. Right? If you're here for these reasons and there's ever a conflict, it's those reasons. There should never be a conflict unless they're conflicting with each other. If Calvin's got a wrestling match and his future sibling has a violin recital, then I got a problem. But
Right.
outside of that, it's pretty easy to me. So,
Right. Well,
well, cool.
great.
Just like to leave like a moment for our guest here to like ask us a question if you want, or if you just have something that you want to like leave the chat with. Now is a great time to kind of take the floor and say what you got to say.
Oh
Yeah.
gosh, I
Yeah.
hadn't planned on having a big grand finale or anything.
Yeah, so change the world, whatever you got to say right now, go for it.
No, I just say kind of like what I said before when I left my prior job, we had a little going away thing, and they asked for words of wisdom, so to speak. But I would say that anybody who listens to this, don't wait until till the last minute. If you think there's something else you want to do, whether it's real estate or if you have a W-2 job and you want to get into whatever it is, basket weaving or something, that's what you want to do. Don't wait till the last day when you physically can't do it anymore. Make that decision and do it earlier when you can. Spend some time, take some cataloging of what's important to you and make the decision so you can support those things that are important to you.
Couldn't have said it better, man. That's
Couldn't have
perfect.
said it better. Kelly, thank you so much. We really appreciate you. And, and those of you guys that are listening, Kelly's a great example of an individual had a plan, and he put he circled the date on the calendar essentially. And we drove right to that date, too. So if you're listening or watching, too, Kelly's a great resource. We'll put some contact information in the notes in this. If you want to reach out to him for insight, that'd be great. And also, if you're also thinking of making a career change, give myself, Andrew, give Kelly a call. Let's have a conversation, see if it's a good fit, as we move forward. So have a great Friday, and I hope everyone has an amazing weekend. And let's go out there and make it happen, everybody.
So yes, see you guys.
Awesome.
Thanks a lot. See ya.